Good morning, superstars. Once again, you're welcome to English class with Lucy. Good morning, superstars. Once again, you're welcome to English class with Lucy. It is my utmost pleasure to have you in English class once again. We have been having a lot of fun and learning activities in the Byte classes, which commenced on Wednesday. Thus far, we have learned English topics for UTME. We have learned word stress on the oral forms. We have learned Concord subject-verb agreements. And today, we will be looking at comprehension strategies. Remember, when I commenced this class with you on Wednesday, I did let you know that we have three subsections. In UTME English, we have comprehension, we have lexis and structure, and we have word stress. So today, we'll complete touching every aspect of UTME English. So once again, you're welcome to class. I love to have you here, superstars. All right, then I can see you're already coming in. I see Chinedu Eziani, okay, saying, sharing greetings. Ebenezer Matthew, Odiaka Matthew, you're all welcome to class today. Okay, without further ado, we will be going into the topic that we have to learn today. Today's topic is comprehension strategies for success in UTME. Remember, I just emphasized that this is a topic under the comprehension subsection of UTME English. All right, then. So, before we progress into today's topic, I'd like to do a quick recap. Joshua, you're welcome. Joshua, you're welcome. Okay, I'd like to do a quick recap of yesterday's practice questions. I always give you work to do just to be sure that learning continues, in your various houses or wherever you find yourself. Now, please kindly note that for English and indeed for every other subject, learning does not end in the classroom. It's not only when you see Lucy, when you see Green, when you see Dr. Jan and every other teacher that you learn in the class, you should also do some work at home. And this time around, I want to encourage you to ensure that you're doing rigorous practice in this 4 months so that by the time you take the examination in April, you're coming out with a very, good score. So you have to study, you have to do your practice questions. That is very important. So yesterday we had the first practice question to take back home. We had, the instruction says, choose the correct option below. The question is, either the chief of the village or the leaders of the farmers dash responsible for the revolt. This is a 1991 UTME question. Now, I'm going to explain this real quick. Remember, what Lucy always says, we don't do guesswork here. We need to understand the science behind every topic in English so that we are able to correctly obtain our answers from the given options. So yesterday I taught you that when you have a question or a sentence that begins with either and then or neither and nor, the Concord rule clearly states that the subject that comes after or determines the verb to be used, as it is of a closer proximity to the verb. I'll break that down for you. Whenever you have a sentence which begins with either, and then in the middle you have or it begins with neither, in the middle you have nor, you'll find out that you have two subjects. For instance, the sentence on the board says, either the chief, that is one subject, or the leaders, that's another subject. So there is usually a confusion that candidates, encounter to say, is the subject the chief or is the subject the leader? Now, you don't need to be confused. It is a very simple rule you need to know, and you can apply to any question that comes with either or neither nor. Now, the rule states that the verb is determined by the subject that comes after or, not the subject that comes after either. So this simply tells us here that our answer should be BR. Why? It's very simple. Yesterday I taught you that plural subject must collocate or agree with plural verbs, and that's what's happening. So we look at the second subject, which is the leaders. The leaders. So leaders, is that singular or plural? That's basic grammar. Leaders is plural, which means the leaders has to go with are, not is. Had it been we said chief, then it will be chief is. Why would that be? Because chief is just one, that is singular. And then the singular verb to collocate with that is. So that's the simple explanation for this. Now, to make things very easy for you, I have typed out the Concord rule and the explanation right, under the question, so that when you go back to the my YouTube channel and all of that, to rewatch this video, you have them there just in case, you forget something. So the answer for this particular question is B. That's BR. We'll move on very quickly so I can go to what I have for today. Move on very quickly. The next practice question here. Provided you dash to the market very soon, we should be able to eat early enough. That's a 1991 question, UTME question too. And we have all the options there. Okay, so the answer for this is D, go. Now, what is the explanation or the science behind it? We are not doing guesswork, remember. So we need to know how. Why isn't it should go? Why isn't the answer went and all of that? Now, the thing is, provided here is used as a subordinating conjunction. The subordinating conjunction in English means that there should be a main clause that gives, a good stance to that particular sentence and also provides the complete information. So the subordinate conjunction or anything that is subordinating is dependent on a main clause for absolute meaning. It then means that the subordinating conjunction or the subordinating clause cannot stand on its own to make a complete meaning. It must lean on a main clause. Now, when you look at the sentence or the question we have here, it says, provided you dash to the market very soon. If you look at it critically and grammatically, you will find out that this cannot stand on its own. Now, let's progress. We look at the next, the main clause we have there, says, we should be able to eat early enough. If someone tells you we should be able to eat early enough, a complete sense or a complete information has already been communicated to you, which then tells us here that the clause that starts with provided is subordinating. It means on the condition, or if you go to the market, we should be able to eat early enough. Now, grammatically, we need to look at the tense usage. Because this action has not yet been completed, we have to use the present tense go in the conditional clause, provided you dash to the market very soon. And then moving on further, we look at the main clause and check the tense usage there to know if it's the appropriate one. Yes, it is, because it uses the future tense, she'll be able to. So when you go to the market, to get the food items and all of that, in the future, we will be able to eat early enough. Like I said, you can go back to my YouTube video. I've typed out explanations for you. If you need to do a recap and all of that, everything is right there for you. You can listen again to my explanations. That would also throw better light for you. So the answer to this particular question is D, go. Now, this is it. Provided you go to the market very soon, because that action has not been completed. I cannot say provided you went. You've not done it. Why should I use a past tense? So provided you go to the market very soon, we in the future shall be able to eat early enough. All right, then. So let's take a look at the last practice question for yesterday's work. Okay. He is one of those who dash in my school, 1995 UTME question here. All right. So the answer has already been, highlighted. And the answer is teaches. Now, there is a Concord rule for when you use one of, or when you use two of, or perhaps you use 10 of. You can say 10 of my friends, 10 of my, colleagues, 10 of my, anything. Think of anything. Okay. So the Concord rule for when you use one of says one of plus singular verb. Pay attention to this. One of plus singular verb. So what that simply means is one of must collocate with the singular verb. To of collocates with the plural verb. So from 2, 3, 10, 50, 20, whatever it is. So to of plus plural verb. Now I added some examples here for you to see this lucidly. Okay, so you have 2 of my friends are brilliant. I cannot say 2 of my friends is brilliant. No. Now, what is the interaction here? Let me see if I can get my pen. The interaction here is from 2 to are. That is why I highlighted them in bold. Now, let's go back to the question. The question is, he is 1. So if I have 1 here, this is what I'm looking at, 1 of. Then 1 is a singular subject. What verb should it collocate with? It should collocate with the singular verb. Now I go to my options to check. What's the singular verb that I have here? Let me start from D. Teach is not a singular verb, it's a plural verb. Are teaching, it does not come into play here. Why? Because our teaching is about a continuous verb. It's in the continuous tense or the progressive tense. The same thing for is teaching. That is a continuous action or a progressive action. So this will not be my answer. Remember, what I'm doing here is to apply the rules, the science behind the English grammar. So immediately I check it and I find out I have 1 as a singular subject, which should collocate with the singular verb teaches. And that's how I get my answer, teaches. So anytime you're answering any question, you have to understand. You must understand what exactly is the science, what exactly is the knowledge. Remember I told you science here is the body of knowledge. We are not talking about it. It's about the body of knowledge. So what is the knowledge behind this? So once you get it, apply the rule and you get your answers. Yesterday, I told you, I said, over here, we are aiming for the perfect score. We are aiming for 100, and it is possible. Whereby we are not able to make 100, then we can come down to 90 something. So like I said, you need to be in my class. If you have not registered for, with Tutorial Prep, please from this class, go and register so we can, start off on Monday. And then you come to the class, you do your practice questions, you get, do some rigorous study. Be focused. Be focused, on what you do, on the JAM and UTME you came to do. Study your material, study everything, get yourself ready. I tell you, you can excel. You can have a high score, but you have to play your part. All right, so we're going to move on very quickly. So we are done with the practice questions for yesterday. Well, there's something that I have to say to you here, and this is it. Lucy says, reading comprehension is different from reading a story. Remember, today's topic is comprehension strategies for success in UTME English. So I say to you, superstars, reading comprehension is quite different from reading a story. You can read a story for pleasure. You can read a story for entertainment. But when you're reading comprehension in UTME English, trust me, it's not for pleasure. You are reading to pass. Therefore, you should read strategically. You don't just read for storytelling, you read strategically. Take note of that. All right, then. So while we're talking about reading and the reading culture, did you know that by reading 20 minutes every day, you can end up reading 1.8 million words in 1 year? Now you know that. So by reading only 20 minutes, how many hours do we have in a day? How many hours do we have in a day? 24 hours. That's what we have in 1 day. How many minutes do we have in a day? You can do the math. You can let me know in the comment section. But here we're getting to learn that by reading only 20 minutes out of our 24 hours, you can end up reading 1.8 million words in 1 year. So this is still the new year. If you're thinking of making, your new year resolution, I think you should consider adding, making your reading culture get better, imbibing a good reading culture. And when you read, of course, you're exposed to many things. Your horizon is broadened. Education is the best policy anyone can have. So it's very good and very beneficial for you to imbibe a good reading culture. Now to the thrust of today's class, which is comprehension strategies for success in UTME. I have quite a number of them here. I have main idea. These are all strategies. I have main idea, textual knowledge analysis, drawing inferences, context clues, synthesizing information, prediction, and summary. I will not go through every one of them, and there are even more. If you want to know everything about how to, answer comprehension questions, please sign up with Tutoria Prep so that from next Monday, 12th, you can, join us in the class. I will expose everything you need to know to actually get a very, very good score. I'm going to tell us a story. Most times when we in schools, maybe in your school or in any other school and all of that, when comprehension, as a strand in English, comes up, maybe in the classroom, that day is a day to learn comprehension or do something, you find out that most times the teacher might just say, okay, we're going to have comprehension today. Hello, students, open your textbook, open your textbook to maybe page 54 something. And then, the children open their textbook and they say, have you seen the passage there? Yes, we've seen the passage there. Okay, everybody, you need to read that passage. That is your homework. Make sure you do my work. Make sure you do my homework. If you don't do my homework, make sure you do my homework. You do from number 1 to number 5. Is that clear? Yes, ma, that's clear. Okay, bye, then see you next time. There are no strategies taught. They just assign the passage to the children or to the students. The students go home and they struggle. That's not what Lucy does. I will first and foremost walk you through the strategies to better understand how to tackle and answer questions on comprehension. So when you're going in for JAM English, you're not, like I said, you have to be strategic. For JAM English, you have 5 questions for comprehension passage. You have 5 questions for, then you have the closed test, and then you have the literature text. The literature text, I will take my time to break it down, not in the bite class, in the main class. If you need it, sign up with Tutoria Prep. So the right approach in comprehension should be, you need to be armed with the right comprehension strategies. So when you're getting to answer the questions, you're not doing guesswork. And that's what we're going to look at here. I'll touch on just 3, and then we'll wrap up the class. I wouldn't want to take up much time. I hit the point, and then we all go. All right. So the first comprehension strategy here is the main idea. What is the main idea of a passage? Cast your mind back to what I said previously. I said, when you're reading comprehension, you're not reading for pleasure. So when you're reading comprehension, you have it at the back of your mind. I need to get the main idea from here. What exactly is this passage talking about? So if you're reading a passage that's talking about perhaps the effects of HIV and AIDS on, on people or something, and then if you don't catch the idea, when you're answering the question, you might be answering from a perspective of the causes of HIV and AIDS. You've missed it. So when you're reading to obtain the main idea. What is the main idea? What is the main idea? That is very important. Now, when we talk about the main idea, it is very important that the candidate needs to understand that not all information in the passage is the main idea. Because sometimes you find out that there are some other things that might not be so, so important and all that are used to populate the passage. So you might have a passage of maybe 1,000 words, maybe 800 words, but there is a main idea that can be summarized in just maybe 2 sentences. So every other thing is just like a supporting idea. What is the main idea? I'm going to show you practically what main idea is in a passage. I have a UTME passage here, I think from 2022, and I'll just read it. You can follow me. Don't forget, you can always watch this video, some other time. All right, then. The 2002 World Cup competition, also called Korea-Japan 2002, kicked off with a match between the defending champions, France, and the Senegalese national team from Africa. Nobody had given the Senegalese any chance against the star-studded defending champions, but the 1-0 scoreline in favor of Senegal showed that African football can no longer be taken for granted. This shocking defeat of France had raised Africa's hopes of going beyond the first of the tournament. So when the Super Eagles of Nigeria found out against Argentina on the morning of Sunday, June the 2nd, 2002, many Nigerian football enthusiasts delayed attending church service to watch the match live on the television. As expected, the Super Eagles put up strong resistance to the Argentinian challenge, and the day would not have ended on a somber note for Nigerians if the momentum had been sustained throughout the match. The hope of going beyond the first round, though precarious, was very much alive, as the Eagles were expected to defeat their next opponents, Sweden and England. But some shortcomings in the Nigerian national team needed to be rectified to brighten their chances against their next opponents. First, the defense needed to be strengthened to prevent the opponent from incessantly terrorizing the goalkeeper. Then the strikers also needed to improve on their lackluster performance against Argentina, since every Nigerian expected them to overwhelm their next opponents in the opening rounds. Lastly, rather than gamble with unfit players, a more creative use of the reserves would be necessary to smooth the way to the next round. If World Cup debutant Senegal could nurse the hope of playing in the knockout stages of the tournament, then the Eagles should soar instead of being intimidated by big names, for no team is invincible. That is the end of that passage that talked about 2002 World Cup and the interaction with the Eagles. Now, I have a UTME type question here, which is a main idea question. I want to use this to show you the application. Someone is asking me, Ma, how are we going to sign up for Tutoria? Okay, so you can sign up on tutoria.com. You can just tutoria.com/UTME. Please kindly check that out. You can sign up right now. Not just sign up by yourself. You can also send to your friends, everyone, your classmates, everyone around you. Very accessible. Please sign up and join us on the 12th. All right. So a main idea question for this particular passage says, a suitable title for this passage is A, African teams in the 2002 World Cup, the FIFA Korea Japan 2002, the Nigerian and the Senegalese teams, the Eagles in World Cup 2002. Remember what I taught you. It is very easy to do what we call elimination method. First and foremost, B says the FIFA Korea Japan 2002. And I asked my superstars, is this correct English? Of course, your answer would be that this is not correct English. So what do? I simply eliminate it and I reduce the headaches that I have to look at in this particular question. So I'm left with 3. And then we look at the next one that says the Nigerian and the Senegalese teams. And I'm thinking about that. It also talked about Argentina. It was mentioned. So that tells me that this one cannot be my answer. Now I've been able to eliminate, the options that I have here to making the work very easy for me. Now I go back to the passage. Remember, when you're answering comprehension passages, you can actually reread the passage if need be. But everything you're doing, you need to work with speed and accuracy, not that you rush and you miss it. Then you say you finished first. Nobody's asking if you finished first. That's why the key word is speed and accuracy. You work with time, but yet you're getting the right answer. Now, I quickly run back to my passage. I go through my passage, and then what is the main idea in this passage from what we read? It is actually the Super Eagles and their performance. It is tagged there as what? Lackluster performance. The strikers needed to improve. You found out that here there were some unfit players, and this person was suggesting that, okay, if you have this sort of, this kind of unfit players, why don't you get more creative? Why don't you use your reserves and all of that? Talking about the Eagles being like timid. They were intimidated, by the Argentinians, thinking that, and he was thinking that, if Senegal could do this, then what could be the challenge with the Eagles? Let's look at the defense. It says here, first, the defense needed to be strengthened. So it was dissecting the play tactics of the Eagles. After dissecting, the way they played, also made some suggestions to get things better for the Eagles. So you find out that even though Argentina everything, but the main idea is actually focused on the Eagles. Argentina was not dissected as much as the Eagles were here. Even the Senegalese was not. So you're talking about the defense of a team, the strikers, the goalkeeping, the unfit ones, the ones that were timid. You're giving all the necessary information about the Eagles. So this makes this question a main idea question. That's why I took my time to explain. It is not everything in a passage that is actually, what is needed. So there are some things that are like supporting ideas. But what is the main thing that is talked about? And here we can see that the answer is the Eagles in World Cup 2002. Their performance, the things that need to be improved, every other thing about them. That's actually what this passage is making reference to. Okay, let me. I think it's overlapped. Okay, so this is it here. So this is the main idea. So you might have someone, maybe a friend of yours, telling you, okay, from Lekki, I was going to Ikeja in Lagos and everything. So along the path or along the way, I encountered maybe traffic. I did this, I did that, I did everything. But at the end of the day, I got to Ikeja. And if Lucy has asked you, what is the main idea there? See, the main idea is not the story your friend told you. The main idea is what? Your commute from so and so place to Ikeja. That is the main idea. Then every other thing are supporting that story. They are supporting ideas in the story. So it is very important to have the skill to be able to pull out main ideas within passages. All right, then. So I move up quickly once again to the comprehension passages, to the comprehension strategies. Remember, I told you if you want to learn more about comprehension strategies, you have to sign up because I will only give you tasters. I will not go into everything here. Now, let's look at drawing inferences. First and foremost, what is an inference? In English, an inference is like an implied meaning. You're given some sets of information. And then using those set of information, you're able to decipher and pull out what this could mean. An example before we go into the UTME example. Say you're reading a passage. And in that passage, it says there's a girl, maybe her name is Mary. And Mary was born, okay, the time the story is set is maybe 2025, for instance, or maybe 2026, this year. That's when that story is set. And then in that story, it is written that Mary was born in the year 2000. Please follow me. I want you to follow me. Just pay close attention. You're reading a passage. The passage states that the current time is 2026. And then in that same passage, it says there's a character. Her name is Mary. And then it says that Mary was born in the year 2000. That's all. And then one of the questions says, how old is Mary? Superstars. Is Mary's age written in the comprehension? No. But can we get the correct answer? Yes, we can. Why will we get the correct answer? Because we can apply the comprehension strategy called drawing inferences. How do we do it? The year tells us is 2026. Then the passage also tells us Mary is born in 2000. So what do I do? 2026 minus 2000 will give me Mary's age as 26 years old. Is it in the passage? No. Can I get my answer? Yes. How will I get my answer? I simply apply the comprehension strategy called drawing inferences. So you have a set of information that are there. They are implied. It's not like they are maybe so clearly stated and all of that. They are implied. So when you're able to reason through, you're able to analyze, you're able to draw out inferences. Now take note, inferential questions are a very vital aspect of comprehension. You cannot miss it in UTME. You cannot miss it in UTME, drawing inferences or inferential. You cannot miss it. So please, you need to follow and understand. Now, let's check something real quick. This is a UTME type question. Let's check this real quick. Let's check this out. Okay, real quick. Okay. Okay. All right, then. So here I have an inference question, still based on the passage we have read. From the arguments in the last paragraph, it can be concluded that the Eagles were more experienced than the Senegalese team, not as strong as the Senegalese team, more timid and goal shy than their opponents, not sure of getting to the next round of the tournament. I'm going to take you back to the passage. I take you back there. It says the last paragraph, which is lastly, all right then. Lastly, rather than gamble with unfit players, a more creative use of the reserves would be necessary to smooth the way to the next round. If World Cup debutants Senegal could nurse the hope of playing in the knockout stages of the tournament, then the Eagles should soar instead of being intimidated by big names, for no team is invisible. Now, based on this, we look at the information we have in this passage, and then we are able to draw out the inference from it. So that tells us that the Eagles were timid. And the writer here was wondering, why should they be timid? I mean, so why were they scared of the Argentinians and all of that? So I'm able to draw that inference that the answer will be C. Which concluded that the Eagles were more timid and goal shy than their opponents. Yes, Argentina wasn't mentioned in this. It wasn't mentioned. But who were the opponents of the Eagles? It's in the passage. The Argentina. I'm just drawing inferences. Because the information is there. So all I need to do is to properly interpret the information that I have seen. And when you properly interpret it using your comprehension strategies, you are able to get the right answer. So the right answer here is C, because we drew an inference. The right answer here is C. The Eagles were more timid and goal shy than their opponents. Okay. Now, let's go up. We can do something more. We can do something more on this passage. Let's go up. So we've looked at the main idea. I've explained the main idea to you. Not everything is the main idea. You could have a passage of maybe 10,000 words, and the main idea could be in just 2 sentences. It's very important to know this when you're answering comprehension. You use your comprehension strategies to know. The next one I just explained is drawing inferences. You have, maybe dates are written. You're not told the actual age, like I explained to you. You're able to use the date, do your math and everything, and then you're able to, get out the right, numbers or age or whatever, and all of that. So you're able to get out the right information, drawing inferences. So now let's take a look at. I'm going to combine 2 things. We have textual knowledge and synthesizing information. These are also comprehension strategies. Now, what is a textual knowledge? It is what you read in the text. I'll give you a quick example before we check, the UTME question out. If you're reading a text that says maybe, for instance, maybe Ralia is, a girl, who's from maybe somewhere, maybe Sokoto or whatever, she's from there. She's maybe 20 years old. Okay, she has been to school. She has done this. Those things you read and you see, they are textual. You're actually seeing them. So if you go to the question and the question says, where was Ralia born? I just go back there. It's there already. She was born in Sokoto. It's textual. I'm reading it. I'm seeing it right there. If it says, okay, maybe how old is she? Oh, she's 20. She's 20 years old and all. Okay, good one here. I have Ayomide Olahosoye. I have subscribed, ma. I'll pay registration fee 35,000 naira. Everything is on the link. Everything is on the link. Yes, so you can actually register on there. Okay, so everything is right there on the link. And once you're registered, you take your test. You're onboarded. Monday we start. So please, if you haven't registered, kindly go register. All right. So every information that you see in the passage, that refers to the textual knowledge. That's quite clear. I just gave you a very lucid example for that. Then when we talk about synthesizing information, what is a synthesis? A synthesis is like when you bring things together. So if I have, for instance, in the passage, I have boy, I have this information there, I have girl, maybe I have thee, I then bring everything together to make a complete sense. Remember, comprehension. Comprehension is synonymous to understanding. So it is when you bring all the words together that you're able to understand, and then that's where the comprehension comes from. Reason I mentioned to you that when you're answering comprehension a question, whether in UTME, your JAMB or your SSCE or what, you have to be strategic. You're not reading for play. You're not reading to say, okay, I read boy here. No, you're bringing everything together. And when you bring it together, you ask yourself, what is this passage talking about? That is what we mean by synthesizing information. So every information from the top to the bottom, from the first paragraph, second paragraph, third, you synthesize all. So maybe it started out with maybe a girl who was being pursued or whatever in a dark place and all of that. Then eventually she fell down. Eventually some gnarled hands, pulled her up and all. And by the time she came, she screamed, she did everything. Oh, at the end of the day, it turned out to be a prank. What is happening? What is happening there is you understood the flow. A dangerous precedent was set, but at the end of the day, maybe it ended up as a prank. I just, got that off the top of my head. So you're able to put together title, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, maybe up to paragraph 5. You put them together. So we have our textual knowledge, what our eyes can see written in the passage, as well as synthesizing information, bringing everything together to make a comprehensive meaning. Now, let's go over to a UTME type question. UTME type question, still based on this passage. All right, then. So let's take a look at this. It says here, which of the following captures the writer's suggestion on how the Eagles could improve their performance in subsequent matches? Before I answer this question, I'd love to take you back to the passage. In the passage here, it says something. Please follow me and pay close attention. It says, but some shortcomings in the Nigerian national team needed to be rectified to brighten their chances against their next opponents. So this speaks to the question that was just asked. So I read further so I can get the right answers from the passage. So it says here, first, the defense needed to be strengthened to prevent the opponents from incessantly terrorizing the goalkeeper. Then the strikers also needed to improve on their lackluster performance against Argentina, since every Nigerian expected them to overwhelm their next opponent in the opening rounds. Lastly, rather than gamble with unfit players, a more creative use of the reserves would be necessary to smooth the way to the next round, on and on and on. So it is from here you can get the right answer. So from what we've read now and from what we've seen here, we find that we are going to use textual knowledge. Remember what I told you, textual knowledge, what you can see in the passage, and then synthesizing information, the art of comprehending what you're reading. By doing what? By ensuring that every piece of the passage are all added together to give what? A comprehensive meaning. That's the essence of the comprehension. So that's what we are going to do. So what is the writer's suggestion based on what we've read? It's simple, it's textual, it's clear. The answer here is B. Replacement of injured players. That's what he meant by unfit. He said unfit players with the reserves. Hello? For those of you who have, I'm sure most of you are football enthusiasts, you have your Manchester, you have your Chelsea and everything. When a player is injured, what happens? You find out, okay, that player, he's called out and, another player is substituted. So another player substitutes him and goes to replace him there to complete, what has been played. So that's what they're saying, replacement of the injured players or the unfits. It's there. It says the strikers are the attackers. So the strikers, they had a lackluster performance. Now, what is being said in this option B? It says stronger attackers. So when you have stronger attackers, instead of giving you the lackluster performance, they are giving you a better attack and, playing better. in the field. And then a rugged defense. A rugged defense, because there it talked about strengthening the defense. So when you strengthen the defense, a synonym of that is saying like having a rugged defense that they're strengthening, they know, they're tackling, they're doing everything they necessarily need to do. So what have I done? No magic, no guesswork. Is clear. You apply your textual knowledge, you look at synthesizing information, and then you're able to understand that the right answer here should be answer B. Replacement of injured players, stronger attackers, and a rugged defense. I have a few minutes in the class and I'm going to keep to time. I'll keep to time. So, yeah, we have learned quite a few things today. So what I would do is I would, at this point, just do a lesson recap. And then do not forget that you have to do homework assignments for me. I put up assignments here for you on the same passage. You need to answer these two comprehension questions using some of the comprehension strategies that I have just explained to you in the class here. So what we learned in this class today is we learned some comprehension strategies and their application. We know them. The main idea, drawing inferences, synthesizing information, textual knowledge. There are others, like I said, I'll teach them in the main class, okay? So, and how do we apply them? Of course, I'll just do a very quick recap. Main idea refers to, the central theme that passage is talking about. The main thing that, is out there for for everyone to see. Like I said, some other things are supporting. They are not the main idea. That's very important when you're answering comprehension questions, okay? The next one is drawing inference. Okay, you're giving some set of information, especially in UTME. They wouldn't give you, sorry to say, they wouldn't give you baby questions. They will give you something difficult that you have to think. So expect inferential questions. Expect it, like there will be inferences you need to draw. So you check your set of information. I have set A, I have set B, I have set C. So what am I to bring out from there? You look at it and then you look at the implied meaning and pull out the inferences that are found there. Also, we looked at textual knowledge. That's quite straightforward. What do you have in the text? What is the text saying to you? It's telling you, okay, A happened to B and B happened to C, and the cause and effect, everything. It's clear for you to see. And next one, you have synthesizing information. So from title to paragraph A to paragraph B, paragraph C, maybe to paragraph, J or something. What meaning can I make out of this? Okay, and then you get that. So the application is very important. All right, we also did explain. We read a passage. We actually read a passage here today, and then we did an explanation of some UTME questions. See how to apply all of that to the questions, and then we also learned how we can score very high in comprehension questions in UTME. All right, so we have come to the end of today's lesson. I do hope that you learned quite some things that will actually help you in the main examination when it comes. Okay, so for the first day, which was on Wednesday, we did word stress. Okay, I want to take your mind back. I want to rejig your memory. So we had word stress where we learned some rules that guide word stress, especially for answering UTME questions. We looked at rules for disyllabic nouns, disyllabic verbs. We looked at the penultimate syllable. We looked at the antepenultimate syllable. And I'm sure you still remember the song that I composed for you that you can always have at the back of your memory, so that when you're confronted with such word stress questions in the main examination, you just use it as a mnemonic to remember, the ones you need to answer for the penultimate syllable. You can go ahead to form other, mnemonics that can help you too. Maybe other songs. I know your generation does well with songs, okay? So, whatever that will help you to easily recall in the exams, whether for English, for math, for any subject. It's not, only for English, okay? Anything that can help you so that, you have these things at your fingertips, okay? Mnemonics are very good, please. So you need to get these things handy, get them ready, because the examination, like I said, it dwells with speed. and accuracy. You don't have that much time to start dilly-dallying. So you need to have some tips right at your fingertips. As you get in there, you're able to use those tips to, actually get a very, very good score. Yes. So it says here, okay. Okay, Odiaka Matthew says, will classes like this continue or will they stop when official lessons start? Just register with Tutorial Prep. We will communicate to you on how those BITE classes will proceed. Okay, okay. Is there a WhatsApp group, please? Same question, I'm yet to be added. We will reach out to you. This is Ruth Okwayemi Saula and Kendra Emmanuel. We'll reach out to you. Yeah, we'll reach out to you about being. I'm sure you'll be added. You very soon you'll be onboarded to a WhatsApp group. I'm pretty sure about that. Okay. Olanrewaju Vaughn says, I've taken the test already. Wonderful. How did you do? How did you do with the test? If you can type that out and let me see, how you performed. I hope you performed well there. I hope you performed well, Olanriwaji. All right, then. So we've come to the end of English class today with Lucy. It is my utmost pleasure to have had this class with you, as I look forward to doing much more with you next week and over the course of 4 months. Do not forget that you can always follow me on my social media my social media handle is at Lucy Knows English. The Lucy is spelled Lucie Knows English. You can follow me, across the platforms. But for Twitter, you can follow me on Lucy Knows English. Lucy English _ Lucy English _ Okay. What time are the classes on Monday? The classes on Monday begin from 10 a.m. Kindly tell your friends. From 10 a.m. the classes will commence. So please, we are ready for you. You also come in early for the classes. You also come in early. Oh, wow. Olanrewaju Vaughn, you got 89 out of 100. Okay, that's good. But I want to push you to 100. Let's see what we can do together. Okay, good job. Thank you so much, superstars, for having this time with me. It is my utmost pleasure to have had this class with you. So I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Bye for now. I can go. What's that? And nobody even told us what to do.